Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking with Jennifer Satel. How do you know if there's a new episode? You like, subscribe, and follow. And guys, we have a YouTube channel, and to subscribe, you get to see all of this wonderment that is me talking about random things that we love and hopefully can relate to. With that being said, I always tell you a little bit about Charlotte, what's going on in my parenting world, because it's never a dull moment. But today she's having her birthday party, and she turns 10 in a couple days, but she's having her birthday party today. And we are having, by the way, none of this was I never had any of this when I was a kid, and that's okay. It was a different time. You didn't have all of this. Your friends brought sleeping bags over, and my mom made a cake, a 9x9 cake. And I think for my 10th birthday, she frosted it and did Pac-Man, because I was really into Pac-Man. That's where we're at 10. Charlotte's having a mini mobile spa coming to the house in like an RV, and they're parking in front of the house, and she has 12 little girlfriends coming. And that's what we're doing today and later on today. And she can't make decisions, so you give her too many, but I was really rooting for let's go to Universal and bring like 2 friends, because we already have passes and, you're just buying food and stuff. But she wasn't sure because she didn't want to just invite 2 people and leave anybody out. She's still there. The good news is we've gotten rid of the last birthday and this birthday of inviting the whole class, because when she turned 8, I had never been to Sky Zone before, but she had gone to a couple birthday parties, and she decided she wanted to do Sky Zones. She wanted to invite the whole class. I'm like, why don't we just invite like your girlfriends, like or friends, or, you don't have to invite everybody, but you still want to. And I get that. But first of all, I had never been. So we went to the one in Thousand Oaks, and I walked in, and it's like the size of a Costco with 50 fucking million people, kids. And all I'm envisioning is like bones breaking and like people's like paralyzed from jumping in these pits. And I'm standing there, and like, I don't get anxiety a lot. I do get it. But it's usually with stuff with Charlotte. Sometimes timing of stuff, I get a little nervous or anxious. But I walked in and I wanted to leave. I swear to God, I wanted to leave. It was 28 kids, which also, as you guys know, is not cheap. Thankfully, Grandma is very helpful in the birthday party area. So she's able to do some of these really, I think, just above and beyond things. But at the same time, she is excited, and it's going to be really cute. And I got little silk pajamas for all the girls so that they can wear them on the thing, because the place was selling them, the RV or whatever, but they were really expensive. So I found much cheaper ones, and hopefully the girls will have a blast. And I mean, this girl's living her best life. I'm not even kidding you. It's really crazy. And I just think about my birthday parties, and I was actually talking to a couple of my friends about them, and just saying, like, I remember like in 9th grade, I had a big sleepover. And the big fun thing is all the senior guys, because, they were all like hot and on the football team and and Kim knew all of them. And we were going to go TP all their houses. Like, that was like so fun. We couldn't believe we were like covert. My mom drove the getaway car. Like, we drove, and then we would like jump in the car after it was done. We would TP certain people. And I mean, now you'd be like holding onto that toilet paper for dear life. And during COVID, you probably like rewrapped it and put it in the bathroom because you were scared. But like, we didn't have spa mobile parties and fucking, Build-A-Bear last year and Sky Zone and Chuck E. Cheese. Charlotte didn't have any parties for like almost 4 years because of COVID and just all of that. So I feel like we've overcompensated on the last couple. But we swore this was our last one, and then next time it'll just be like a couple friends. So we'll see if that even transpires. But that's going to be today, and I'll give you an update on how cute the ladies seems very nice. It seems adorable, and it's the perfect amount of time. It's like an hour and a half, whatever. So I'm excited to see how that is and report back, and obviously give her information if it's everything it looks like it's going to be. Also, yeah, what else is happening? Oh, so Charlotte, she just finished her Amelia Earhart project and her costume, which, is adorable. So this month is California landmarks. So I'm going to give you an update on that. I'm just going to tell you she picked Disneyland and she wants to do the Cinderella Castle as the landmark. So of course I go to, because the way the world is now, I'm like, oh, we'll just go buy the Lego kit. And she's like, you can't do that. So I text my neighbor, Nicole, if you're listening, she already knows. But I'm like, hey, you know how you love to do fun activities with Charlotte? Let me know about the Cinderella Castle. So we'll also see how that transpires, because I'm not very good with stuff like that. David's pretty good with it, so he'll probably be the one that dives in with her. But anyways, that's the update on Charlotte's, glamorous life. I swear, this kid, I think I'm just living vicariously through her, because we didn't have any of that. I don't know that I was missing out because we didn't have it, I mean, all these parties, and I might have talked about this before, but, even before Charlotte was born and when she was born, the pressure for the first party was all on myself. The first birthday party, I'm like, this little girl is going to be asleep half the time and not give two fucks. But here I am seeing all these mommy groups and the parties they were throwing with ponies and freaking, magicians coming out of the clouds and this and that. And it's a $10,000 party. And I'm like, what? This is what you have to do? Because I didn't know. I mean, we didn't do a $10,000 party. We didn't have magicians, but I did a garden theme. Did Charlotte even know? I kept her alive the first year. I guess it was a celebration for me. I don't know. But the expectation for some of these parties and cakes and all this stuff, it's like these, there are people out there, I'm not taking away from businesses and moms, side hustles or stay-at-home moms who do, they're so talented. But for me personally, $600-700 for a cake is absolutely insane. That's like a car payment. That's my car payment. And I'm like, I don't understand, because a lot of times it looks so amazing. And then you're like, does it even taste good? I don't know. So anyways, my mom just made my cake up until I was 10 years old. And it was a 9x9 Betty Crocker mix. And I loved it. And it was carrot cake. I love carrot cake. Yeah, you didn't know. So it is what it is. And I bet before my mom probably had a stick. And she lit a candle out of a twig. That's what she'd probably tell me. Now you have firecrackers that shoot off and all this stuff. It's just so different. Everything is so different. So anyways, that was a long tangent about just things that I think about when I am booking this party going, this is fucking ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm like, how adorable. And, I didn't have this. So I think I just kind of live vicariously through her. One thing I did mention to David this week, and, as you guys know, we wanted to have a bigger family, and I try not to talk about it because it just is still not, I'm not there. But the one thing I did say to David this week is I was like, maybe somewhere they realized we probably couldn't afford God probably realized we probably couldn't afford a second kid. So it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but we laughed about it. We're like, he's like, seriously, it's just, everything is expensive and everything is grandiose, I feel. Even down to, having a sleepover. It's, what are we going to do at the sleepover? Let's go to Ulta. Let's go to Sephora. A sleepover. We sat, ate cookies and candy and junk. And then my mom probably went and rented some videos. And it was a hoot nanny. Let me tell you, it was fucking great. What's funny is my screenshot of Kim when she calls is her at my 6th grade slumber party. And she's in her sleeping bag and it looks like she's stretching. And it makes me laugh every single time because, well, we're still friends. And also best time of my life, just so funny. Oh, and the caveat to this story, the asterisk, we're having some of the girls stay for a sleepover. So as of right now, I think there's 5 girls sleeping over out of the 12. So pray for us. Pray for us. I'm like, do you think they want to go to sleep at 9:30 or 10? No, I don't think anyone does. So I want to go to bed at 9:30 or 10, but I don't think these little girls will be. So I'll keep you posted. the day in the life of a mom trying to make her little girl have the best life ever. So also, I want to talk to you about a couple things. So I love having guests on, and I love having my friends on, and I love having guests, and I love supporting, mommy businesses, just businesses in general, people that are going out there and just, they got away from corporate America and they just kind of, I want them to succeed and I want to hear their story. Everyone has a great story, and a lot of it aligns with, everybody who's listening. Somebody knows somebody, or maybe you're that person that took that chance, and it's really great. And I just want to say, take a moment to say thank you, because, my business has, I'm very busy, and I'm very lucky to be very busy. And I know that can change on any given moment. But what I'm thankful for is the people that really love what I do, and they appreciate what I do, and they refer me to people. And it just makes me, I've mentioned this before, I don't take compliments, very well. I'm always like awkward, like, if they're like, your dress looks cute, I'm like, oh, it's $5. Like I always feel I need to tell you how much it is and where I got it. I don't just say thank you, but I do say thank you for this, because without these referrals, and then they refer people, and it's just, I've been so, so lucky and really blessed, which I think sometimes that word is a little misused, but I do feel blessed. So I thank you for believing in what I do. I love what I do. I hope you guys can see it. Yes, it is I joke a little bit about certain situations, but I really love seeing how people are when I leave their house, or how they feel when something is taken care of that they maybe had put on the back burner for 6 months. And I had another, really great client she's referred me to like 4 or 5 people, but I had another person refer me, and she wants me to help her for like 2 weeks. And, I appreciate that. And so I'm just, just a thank you, and I don't want to say get that out of the way, but just know that I appreciate everybody who listens, and I appreciate everybody who believes in what I do, because I do enjoy it. And then I love talking about it, and we know I love to talk. So, I don't even know. Last week we did an episode where we had all these like 50 questions or whatever. It wasn't even 50. It was just rapid questions, fun questions, personal questions, all of those things. And I think going forward, I want to kind of do something like that. It's fun, because if you guys watch, which I know you did, and I know Lisa, you're watching because you're my number 1 subscriber. Lisa is a super, super overthinker, and she knows she is. And I always joke, because I was listening to the podcast, and I was just joking with Robert right now, saying like, she overthinks it. And some of those questions were like, they're rapid fire, and yet we're answering them in like 7 minutes. And I'm like, what if we were diffusing a bomb? Like, seriously, like you have like 5, not even a nanosecond to make a decision. And we were answering some of these rapid fire questions in like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, I think it defeated the purpose. However, I do like the idea of some like fun, just a few questions off the cuff. They can be about organizing. They could be about life. They could be about marriage, they can be about whatever. But I enjoyed that so much, because we all can relate to, some of these things. Most of them, I think. Parenting is hard. Parenting is tiring, and working and having all of these things, but to take the time that I do right now and get to chat with you, and hope that you guys can relate, know that it's hard for everybody. And just, if you can laugh with somebody or people you love, or people you enjoy. I had a really good time doing that episode. So maybe we'll bring a little bit of that in and just talk about quick things, 5 minutes of it, and just kind of get some information. I love getting information out of Robert, because he just shoots from the hip. I love it. He doesn't really overthink it. Like David when we did the episode with David and Robert, I was like, Robert answered all the questions. And then David's like, yeah, I realized it after. He was like, yeah, it's a good answer. I'm like, Robert gave that answer. He didn't give shit. So anyways, it's just fun. I hope you guys have fun listening to it. And a couple things about the organizing world this week. A lot of people ask me, and I mentioned this last week on one of the questions, was, no, I don't do interior design. Have I taken interior design classes? Yes, I have. A long time ago. I don't have the bandwidth for that. And it's not something that I would pursue anymore. But what I do help with, and I get this a lot, and I feel like a lot of people are redoing their homes right now, or, it just kind of, everything's an ebb and a flow. So I get a lot of kids that are transitioning from like toddler bed to maybe a little bit more of a big girl bed, or maybe crib to a little boy, race car bed, or whatever the situation is. And the room changes. Then you also get the kids that are about 10. I have a couple clients where their daughters are 10, maybe almost 11, and they are not necessarily wanting a little girl room anymore. They want a little bit different. Still want the Stitches of the world and some of the little dolls and stuff, a little, whatever, LOL dolls, the bigger ones, and, blah, blah, blah. But they're wanting to change it up. And so I do help with that. Also getting different furniture. A lot of people hang on to those nursery, dressers that you just took the nursery part off where you changed the diaper stand, and then they just kept the dresser, and that's fine. But, now the kid's 10 or 11, you've got your money's worth out of it. And that's what I was helping with this week on a client's house, is just getting her daughter's room a little more, new and fresh, and also, and not breaking the bank. I mean, she got some of these, just so you guys know, like for kids and stuff, because they are just, sometimes they just don't care about really expensive furniture. I mean, Wayfair and Amazon have really great, dressers and stuff. Yes, you have to build them. Yes, you do. You go to IKEA. Yes, you have to build them. But some of them are great. And she ordered them. She ordered 6 dressers, also a couple for her bedroom that I told her she absolutely needed, or I'd have to strangle her. And her husband, her poor husband, who's amazing, I'm like, you owe him big time. He's building these dressers like he's in the freaking factory working on them. He says 6 lined up. We got 2 done. So he's 4 more to go. But I help with that and kind of transitioning the rooms to a little bit different, a little bit, out of certain stages, and going and moving furniture around and making it make sense. And then the referral client was asking me, I'm starting with the playroom. She has 4 kids, and it's not really a playroom. It's like a play downstairs. I mean, there's shit everywhere. And she sent me pictures, and she's like, I'm so sorry. Before she sent them, I'm like, I see this all the time. I don't care. The goal is to get it to not look like that, right? So, but I'm like, I do think we need to, when I go to her house, talk about what she needs to kind of keep that stuff like tamed. Because right now I think it's just bins and baskets just kind of on the floor wherever. But it's not a playroom. It's like a play downstairs. I was like, no. And I might have mentioned this before, but again, if you're my #1 subscriber, you're going to know all my tricks of the trade. Is that sometimes containers are not beneficial, especially if it's containers for containers, right? So there are people, I have clients that will literally, and believe me when I say this, if I walk into the container store, I am mesmerized by the stuff that they have. It is stuff you would never even think of having, something that an attachment, like a little bebop to put in the bebop to make it all whatever. Okay. I would never think of that. And it's amazing, but some of that stuff is not necessary. And a lot of times people get really excited when they see these containers. I also do. Sometimes I'll buy a couple containers to test them in people's houses or drawers or, pantries or whatever, to see if I even like it. But sometimes ask me if you want to send a, email or text me or whatever information, leave a message and ask me, because sometimes I'm like, even if you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just truly a waste of money. And I see that in a lot of homes. I'll see the boxes of containers that they've bought the package of 12. And I'm like, these are not beneficial to you. They take up more space than the actual space needed just to put the container. And now if you put the stuff in correctly, it doesn't even fit in the cabinet that you have. So what was the point of that? So those are some things that I help with. And I actually enjoy doing it because, we waste so much stuff. I've talked about this too. We are such a gluttonous society. We're such a gluttonous country. I mean, you spend money on stuff that you'll never ever use, but it's the latest and greatest, or you saw that it's this and that in some of this, I say organizing world because that's what I'm talking about, but containers and containers for containers, and you saw it was good. It was something on TikTok or Instagram, and that's great if we can, you have a place for it, but most cases we don't. And let's get smart with our purchasing of that kind of stuff. I have mentioned this too. I go to HomeGoods, Marshalls, and TJ Maxx. HomeGoods and Marshalls and TJ Maxx, yes, they're the same company. They're very different in my opinion. Marshalls is great. HomeGoods is great. TJ Maxx is fine. HomeGoods, those places are like my therapy. So I save hundreds of dollars a month on therapy, yet spend hundreds of dollars every few months there but sometimes I just go and walk around. I don't have time to do that very often. And a lot of times I'll try to go a little bit earlier to pick up some containers for maybe some projects that I have like in the kitchen and stuff. And then I'll just walk around. And it's so like when I go with Charlotte, I know it's a one and done because she's bored after 8 seconds. And I could literally just look forever. And I walk up and down the aisles, not every single aisle, but I walk up and down the ones that interest me the most. And I'm like, wow, like this is like Disneyland for me. I love it. And it's, some people are like, how do you go into like, they're so chaotic. I'm like, but yet you'll shop at Ross or like Burlington. To me, it's just as chaotic. Like some of these stores are just shit everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think of it that way. I don't see it that way, but some people are like, I hate HomeGoods, but I love Ross. And to me, Ross always looks like it has no product. It's like it's all sold because my clients are buying it all. But it's my therapy. I spend a lot of money saved on going there, and but they have some really great things for bathrooms and kitchens and pantries and stuff. The only downside is if you go and you find something amazing, sometimes I'll need 8 or 10 of something and maybe there's only 3 or 4 and I will buy them and pray that I find it, or otherwise I just walk away from it because I do need, if it's in a drawer or something as long as it's similar, they're not going to, if the size is the same, maybe it's a different brand. But for stuff that's shown, it's hard if it's out, in the pantry or something and you see it on a shelf, baskets or whatever, you want them to be the same. So that's the only downside to when you go to places like that. Sometimes they don't have the quantity that you need and it's hard to find, and you're not going to tote around to every single HomeGoods to look for baskets when you're there. So anyways, that was another tangent that I love to talk about in the organizing world of whatever. So we have I have a client that has a business and she does like carts. She started with her thing was charcuterie, and it started as that's what she always did as a party. She did like a grazing table, right? A big like freaking Amazon table, 6 foot, put the paper down, do all the stuff, make this huge thing. And that was like what she would have at her parties at her house. It started as that, and people were like, you should do, or if she went to a house, she'd bring a small charcuterie board or whatever. And her business started as that. And since she started it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 years ago. It may be 3 because I feel like I'm always off a year or 2, but I'm going to say 2 years ago, she said she was going to do like a little bar cart for parties. And I think she had 2 or 3 things she thought of doing. And it was like charcuterie, all the stuff that goes with that, a cart, lights. I mean, she customizes everything for these parties. It's so incredible. And now she has like 35 different options. Some of them are more like wintry. Like I was like, you have so much hot chocolate left over. When are you going to do the next bar? She's like, probably not till next like Christmas. I'm like, what? Like you have all this stuff. She's like, yeah, it's a seasonal. I'm like, it's still chilly. Still chilly out. She's like, yeah, but it's just not, it's a thing for Christmas. I'm like, okay, fine. But she's really successful with that. One of the things I help her with, when she first started, she had 2 shelving units. And she had some stuff on the shelving units for these carts because she was only 1 or 2, 2 or 3 bars. And one of them was like cotton candy. There's not a lot of stuff. You get the little sticks, the different cotton candy, and bippity boppity boo. But now she has 30. So those 2 carts have now gone to, I think we have 8. And then we have 2 half carts and another thing. And it's grown so much. And I constantly am redoing it. She's constantly getting new stuff for it. And it's so funny. I'm like, look at just how much time I've spent helping you get this area situated. And, what she thought would look great and what we've had some trial and error with some of the stuff and what works for her when she's planning her parties of when she has the day of to get all this stuff. But it's just interesting, and some things didn't work out, and that's going to happen. Sometimes I can have the greatest idea, but when it comes to fruition in someone's home or office or whatever, it's not as I thought. Sometimes it doesn't look as good as I thought, or because I keep up on what's cool and what's trendy, and I'm not I'm on TikTok in terms of my businesses, and some videos that come on if you get to see those, but I don't have the time to be on TikTok and see all the fantastic, amazing things people do and see and find. But I do keep, I'm pretty cool. I try to keep up on the trends, because even with organizing stuff, it's a trend. Before it was like big baskets, and now it's like clear bins in the bathrooms and the pantries, and then bamboo. Everything has to be glass with bamboo lids, and things that you would never have. I would have never thought about 9 years ago. And so just like with everything, if you have questions or you're not sure, please feel free to ask anybody if you know an organizer, or ask me, because I love, love, love to talk about it, because I love what I do. I also love talking to you guys. And so with that being said, I'm going to kind of switch over a little bit, and I'm going to talk about something that is, I know the way this flows is just how my brain is, but this one is a little hard. This is something that happened this week, and people deal with this all the time, but it's hard when it happens to you or your family. Is my mom was, I don't want to say with this man for a while, more as a friend. They knew each other for a long time. He was going through some really, really hard times. And I was living in San Jose at the time, and he remembered her she used to work at this like accounting office. My mom does taxes and accounting and stuff. And anyways, he was a client there, and he reached out to my mom during this period. They hadn't talked for a few years. He's married with kids. He's going through a divorce, but he called just to like check in with her, and kind of told her, his life kind of imploded in terms of marriage and just all of the things that was going on. And my mom's a fixer like I am, and she, she wanted to help him. She wanted to help him stop drinking. She wanted to help get him to doctors. Mentally, he wasn't in the best place. And, it's been almost, in June, it would have been 16 years. And 16 years of being in each other's lives. I mean, he was part of our family. Charlotte knows him as a grandpa. He's Jim Pa, well before I got pregnant. And this year, over the summer, my mom had told him he had to move out, and he had to go back. He lived in upstate New York, and he has a really, really big family. And mentally, he was just not in a good place. Health-wise, he wasn't in a great place, but I think a lot of it had to do with what he had done to his body in the past, in terms of like drinking and just, not mentally in a good place. And my mom got a phone call that his brother couldn't get a hold of him, and, he was found dead in his apartment. And I haven't had a chance to process it. This happened on Wednesday, and he was alone. And that's something that's hard. But what's really, really hard is, how do you tell? I don't know what to do about telling Charlotte. She knows him as Jim Pa. He was, David's dad had passed away 3 weeks into us dating. So he never got to be a grandpa to Charlotte. And my dad passed away, but he was a grandpa to Charlotte, but a little bit long distance. And, the last couple years were just not good. And so Jim was in every holiday, every birthday party, everything, weekends. Charlotte would go down to spend with my mom. It was my mom and Jim. They would take her everywhere. Aquarium, Legoland, Disneyland, the frickin' zoo, all the shit I didn't want to do, that I did. They'd take her to Dave & Buster's. They'd go to Chili's and Applebee's and all the places she loves, because they have such a great assortment of chicken nuggets and ranch, And and so my mom called, and unfortunately I was in the canyon in Malibu, and these houses are so expensive and the Wi-Fi is terrible. So sometimes I can just text. But anyways, I saw my mom. I didn't see my mom had called. David had called me and I answered and David was crying and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And then the call dropped. So then he called back and I just stood in the exact same spot because I'm like, if I don't move, and he just said it really quick. And I said, who told you? And he's like, your mom. I'm like, let me call her. And he said, she tried to call you. So I couldn't get through to my mom. So I had to wait till the end of the day and get out of the canyon. And, it's just like, I'm like, do we tell Charlotte? I'm not going to tell her this weekend. Obviously it's her birthday weekend. And, some people have been like, well, why are you going to tell her? Wait till she asks. And I'm like, because he was Jim Pa. Like, she just talked to him. Christmas, she sent him a video and did a FaceTime with him. And then, David just talked to him on Sunday during the Bronco game. And, so I guess my question is for those that are listening is like, I don't feel that she should not know. I feel like, he was a big part of our life. It wasn't somebody that she saw once a year or once every couple years. I mean, on any given month, not in the last few months because he had moved back, but prior to that, I mean, she saw him every month, if not more. If she stayed with my mom for a week, it was them. It was my mom, Jim, and Charlotte and the dog, So I'm kind of torn on what to do about it. And I'm also sad. Like, he was in a really, really bad place. And the relationship with my mom, not necessarily a relationship like you think, but just the companionship of them was getting a little bit toxic and a little bit, it wasn't in a great place. And he needed to go back home. But then you feel bad because I'm like, he was by himself. And thankfully he has a huge family, a lot of siblings. And his two of his brothers talk to him, if not every day, every other day. So, but the one brother had called and didn't hear anything all day. And then he was alone. And I was like, how long was he alone? And, it's just like, does Charlotte need to know that? The world sucks. Everything sucks. But I feel like it's important. I would want to know. So anyways, if anybody has any insight on how to handle something like that, because we all have it, people die. Unfortunately, he died at a younger age. Back when I was little, 59 was you were dead. You were old and a cottonhead, and 59 now, it's like you're a spring chicken. You're 12, when someone dies at 91, you're like, oh man, that sucks. Well, I mean, I guess you were 91, you lived a great life, and he is probably at peace, and that's what's the most important thing. But, yeah, it's a weird dynamic. I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, like, couple people were like, don't say anything. Wait until she asks. And I'm like, I don't know if she's going to ask. I mean, she does if she sees my mom, maybe, but it's like, I kind of feel like I should tell her, after she doesn't need to know today or tomorrow. But anyways, that was that. And I know it's kind of a downer part of the conversation because that's how everything happens. Every day something different happens. And unfortunately, this one was a little bit bigger. David's taking it pretty hard. They had actually gone to the Jimmy Buffett concert when he was touring together. They both loved Jimmy Buffett. They went together, and it was like literally like 2 weeks later, I think Jimmy Buffett had died. He did like this last tour. And I remember David was on Wednesday when he heard the news, he was so glad he went with Jim to the concert. They had like the greatest time. They both wore like Hawaiian, like crazy shirts. And David was sending me pictures while I was at work of all the stuff, that he had. Just so thankful he went, and games. And I mean, Jim went with us to Charlotte's first Yankee game. Charlotte's wearing her My First Yankee onesie and he's holding her. And it's just, those are so special moments. And sometimes you get in the weeds of like life and just kind of like his deterioration of like, his day-to-day mental clarity, I guess. But those moments were really special and he remembered all of those. And I want to just, honor him by talking about it and just saying like, how important he was. But I didn't think I would have such a strong feelings about it, but he was a grandpa to Charlotte, and he was a huge part of our family every holiday, and he will definitely be missed, and I'm really sorry that that happened. On that note, I'm going to just wrap up today's episode. Where I'm doing another episode next, and I don't want the emotions that come over, you never know when they're going to happen. And I haven't really talked about it. And so I guess doing it with everybody that's listening, I appreciate you listening. And I know that we all can relate to stuff like this. And I'm just going to say, thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, send me any questions, comments, maybe stories that you have that are the same, or similar. And, I hadn't talked about it really since Wednesday, except with my mom. And, I just didn't expect all those emotions, and I'm not embarrassed by it, but I think it's a good way to say I appreciate you. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next episode together. Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode of Unpacking with Jennifer. I hope you're walking away with a little inspiration and a few practical tips to make life at home just a little bit easier. If you love the episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you found it helpful, I'd love if you left a quick review. It helps more moms like us find the show. This episode was engineered by Robert Altschuler. Music by Coldfire. Recorded and mixed at Command Recording Studios.